We're continuing our conversation this week with Dr. Brett Carver here at Lahoma. You're our wheat geneticist. We want to reintroduce you, and let's talk about OK Corral and kind of what's happening and what's ahead in the future.
Yeah, a lot's been happening with OK Corral, and maybe a little bit more than I ever expected as far as acceptance across the state. But this, as you can see, is a beardless or an awnless wheat variety. I would say it's the first one to take significant acreage in Oklahoma. And the reason is it's like all the awn varieties. You know, it yields like them, it has quality like them, test weight, it has disease resistance, maybe better than many of our awned wheat varieties. In fact, I must say that this was one of our best stripe rust resistant lines in the whole lineup, along with Smith's Golden I mentioned, I think it was last week. So that's saying something when you had that kind of resistance. So we want to repeat that.
Sure.
You know, we want to be able to carry that tradition forward from OK Corral. I've not been able to do it with OK Corral itself, but I've been able to do it with other beardless parents.
Okay, let's talk about what you're seeing ahead.
So, yeah, and the first one is not the first one that we've looked at. There have been hundreds, if not thousands, of progenies that we look at every year that are beardless that might succeed OK Corral someday. This one, we first started testing in 2021, is a progeny of, well, the primary part of it is Gallagher. Everybody's familiar with Gallagher. And then there's an experimental line from Oklahoma's OSU. And then there's this beardless source that came from Bulgaria. And I want to say just really quickly that Eastern European germplasm is quite valuable to us. And our germplasm is quite valuable to Eastern Europe. Bulgaria provided this through a testing network that we accessed the germplasm in. And wow, I think we've got the stripe rust resistance of OK Corral. We have better leaf rust resistance in this line than OK Corral, which that's a step up. Do we have the yield bump over OK Corral? I want this year to really determine that.
Okay,
but
this one?
We have other possibilities too. Now, you know, I didn't mention this, but we should say that a beardless wheat gives us the option not just for grain production and not just for dual purpose production where it's used for, you know, grazing in the fall and early winter and grain production in the spring. But also now, what about just chopping it for silage or cutting for hay? That is the awnless wheat is much more valuable for that purpose because the awns are not there. They cause irritation to whatever's grazing or whatever's consuming that hay, cattle for that matter. And so we don't have that irritation with these beardless. But if we're going to use something for hay production or silage, we want tonnage. And we want a vegetative state a little bit longer. We want heading to be delayed. We want, well, with tonnage, we want height. So, and we don't see the height so much here because it was so dry, but this line would be at least that much taller under normal wet conditions that we would have in March. And so now we have the tonnage and we had that maturity. But again, we want the option still to go back to grain. If somebody decides, oh, you know what, the cattle market isn't that good this year, let's go all the way to grain production. This will do it. The genetics on it quickly is big country and a derivative of the liver.
Tell us about the excitement for the purple that is on its way.
Yes, so the purple wheat is it's related to this concept of phytochemicals being in plants. And plants produce phytochemicals. They're just natural substances that enable the plant to defend itself against nature. But they also provide a very healthful benefit to humans. We want a bigger show, something we can see. And that's the one thing about phytochemicals is they often provide pigmentation. Our pigment in red wheat is caused by the tannins, not so much a healthful benefit to us. But if we brought in, say, a purple pigment that is phytochemical, and in fact that chemical is called anthocyanins, now we have a very healthful benefit to humans. It took many, many years to do this. We relied on germplasm from Romania to access the purple seed trait. We could have gotten it from other places, but we already had a standing and working relationship with the institute in Romania. They had the germplasm, and you can see it here. It's a little bit rough looking, but it has purple seed. And we crossed this line with Smith's Gold in big country to give us that Oklahoma orientation, that adaptation potential. With double haploid production, we were able to speed the process up. The double haploids, again, were produced by Heartland Plant Innovations. We have right now 4 progenies from that cross. There will be many more coming, but that's the first line of attack here, is to have those 4. And this is one of those 4. We put 2 of them under foundation seed increase this year, anticipating we might be able to commercialize this. And I think that is there, but we still need to work with industry to make sure we can get into the marketplace with it.
Run the numbers for me. What exactly are you talking about here?
So yeah, we can measure anthocyanin content in the laboratory at OSU. So the wheat has about 20 micrograms per grams of the anthocyanins. Normally it would have less than 5. So that's a big jump. Go to something like black bean, that's 20 to 25 micrograms per gram. So we're in that category of a black bean and also a blackberry. Not there with blueberries yet, but blackberry, yes, we're right on target.
Best of luck with all of that. We can't wait to hear how it goes and how OSU and your team are contributing to that food is medicine conversation. That is so important.
Very important. Thank you.